Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice, the podcast for women who are done waiting for the one and ready to become the parent on their own damn terms. We're talking fertility, pregnancy, emotional chaos, and the village that it takes to raise a kid. Sometimes you're crying in the bathtub. Sometimes you're crying because your toddler bit you. And sometimes you cry because you chose all of this. Welcome to motherhood, solo style. Let's get into it. Welcome to Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice. I'm your host, Laura. Today's episode is all about community, support, and embracing life in the messy middle. I'm so excited to be joined by Brittinie from Hot Mess Express, an incredible organization that shows up for women exactly as they are. No judgment, just real help and real heart. We're going to talk about what it means to ask for support, how to break the stigma around struggling, and why none of us are meant to do this alone. Brittinie, welcome to Choosing Chaos. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I first learned about Hot Mess Express through Good Morning America back in January of 2024. And I was immediately intrigued by everything that you guys are doing with your organization and how you show up for women who are feeling overwhelmed through all the daily tasks that we are meant to be doing, but also that are just in need of support. And then more recently, I have also seen Hot Mess Express featured by Jen Hamilton. And if anybody is not familiar with Jen Hamilton on TikTok, I encourage you to follow her. She is absolutely amazing. So without giving too much away, I'd like to pass the mic over to you. Brittinie, can you tell us a little bit more about Hot Mess Express, how it started, and the heart behind the work that you do?
Absolutely. So we actually got started from a Facebook post in a mom's group. That's where all of this stemmed from. So there was a mom who'd posted, I think, something we have all felt at least once in our life. She said she was overwhelmed and she was out of time, out of resources, and her husband travels a lot for work. She expecting her second baby. She had a toddler, and she was like, I just need something to give. I need some help. And so she was actually looking for affordable house cleaning services. But, I think the deeper need we kind of saw was that she needed support. She needed her village. She just needed some women around her to lift her up and get her ready for the second baby. That's where it all stemmed from. And so that we ended up showing up for her, and we were like, this is going to be something. We have to do this again.
I love that you did that. You took a need from somebody who was feeling just all the overwhelming I guess you would say, of a day-to-day in the life of a mom and a woman, and you really were her calling. You were there to support her through all of that. And there's just so much that we add to our plates, and it can feel quickly like we're drowning.
Absolutely. She had, just the basics that come with a house. And then on top of that, the deep cleaning, having a kid who adds to it, being pregnant and not being able to do all of the things or have the energy to do all of the things, and then not having a partner around as much, all of that just piles up. And so for that mission, for that specifically, like we went in, we did the deep cleaning, we got the room sorted. When you're preparing for baby number 2, just getting the clothes organized, getting the old stuff out, and just really gave her like a fresh space. We even saw the fridge was a little empty, and we were like, grocery shopping is the worst. Like, who enjoys that? Not me. I hate it so much. Just the decision making and that task. Like, so we took that off her plate. Some of the volunteers were so sweet, and they ended up putting together dinner in the crock pot. So when they got back from a day together, they walked in and the house was clean. It was organized. All of those pending tasks that you're like putting off forever, those were all done. Dinner was cooking. The fridge was full, and she got to just come back and just relax and enjoy your home and enjoy your family and not have that burden in her mind of all the to-do lists that she had.
I'm assuming this took like an 8-hour period for the volunteers to do all of the tasks.
They usually last about 4 to 6 hours. This one was about 6, but it's amazing what women can do. So we go into these houses sometimes and we're like, ooh, like, I don't know if we can get this done in one day. And then the way that we just show up and know exactly what to do, exactly how to handle it, because our houses look the same. We've been there. So like we just get it. And then we get to work, and I am always just shocked. I look around, I'm like, I cannot believe how much we got done in just a few hours.
I know, right? I try to every day clean up like after my son makes like a little bit of a mess, but it's so hard to keep up with everything, right?
It is.
Laundry and dishes are my worst. I will say that, which I'm assuming that's probably for a lot of us moms. But the chaos, the mess of everything just starts to cause you anxiety throughout the day. It's amazing that you guys are able to go in, support these moms, help them with a moment in need, and then I'm assuming it's just like a one and done type of situation, right?
It
Where
is, yeah, for sure. And I mean, there are times we can come back. Like, there's many times in your life you're going to need your village, you know? So maybe the first time's because you're having a baby, and then maybe a year later you had surgery, and now you have a kid, you have two kids, and you need some help because you were laid up for a little bit. You know, we can come back for those kind of things for sure. It's not an ongoing cleaning service, but it's meant to just get you back up on your feet, give you a fresh start when, you know, life just gets a little hard sometimes.
right. And I love the name Hot Mess Express. Can you share how you chose it and what it represents for the work that you do?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it is such a core part of us. And I mean, it represents us so well. We always joke about how you have to really live the brand to be a part of this organization. But I wish our origin story for that was a little cooler. We honestly just put it to a vote, and that was the one that stuck. It is what people resonate with. It's what it brings people in. And like I said, I mean, it's something that, you know, we feel like you really have to be in touch with that side to understand what we do and why we do it, and to be able to show up without judgment because you get it. You're a hot mess yourself.
When you say we put it to a vote, how many people were involved in the original plan for Hot Mess Express?
Yeah, so the original group was I believe there was about 6 or 7 of us for that original one. And then we still have there's 2 other women that serve on the board with me still today. And then actually this is kind of separate, but I always think of it as the same as like our second mission that we ever did. She actually serves on our board as well. So yeah, so a lot of us have been there from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you cultivate the no judgment culture in your volunteer missions, and why is that so central to what you're all doing?
Yeah, I think it's so important because, you know, a lot of the women that we help, there's an idea that maybe they can't afford cleaning services, and that really isn't the case. You know, I mean, sure it is for some women, but some of the women we help, they just don't have support in the area. And some of the women have the means, they have the support technically there, but there is that fear of judgment that comes with it. Instead of asking for the help when the house is a little bit unmanageable, they push it off because they're fearing that judgment, and then they just end up drowning in it. That's why it's so important to us, because I think that's really hard to find. It's not something that we just say. It's not like part of our little spiel. We mean it genuinely. It's something that we encourage and we train when we onboard volunteers and we onboard affiliates, because it's something more than just your words. If you are judging a person, they can tell by your body language, they can tell by your facial expressions. And so you really have to mean it and feel it inside. And the way I think that we do that is by all the women who get involved, they get it. It's relatable to them. You know, there's no room to judge because we've been there ourselves. We just didn't have the support, or maybe we were lucky enough to. But either way, we've all been there. So that's really a key element too of how we're able to show up without any judgment.
And I'm assuming that key element is going to factor into what I'm about to ask you next. But a lot of us, especially women and mothers, really struggle with being able to ask for help, right? So, why do you think that is, that it's so difficult for us to ask for that help?
I think it's so hard for us because most of our lives, we've really had it pushed on us that women are supposed to just kind of know how to manage their home. They're supposed to just be born knowing how to keep a home, maintain it. You're supposed to just naturally want to clean all the time and
Do it
constantly
all.
pick up. Exactly. And that's really not the case.
Right.
It doesn't come naturally. You have to be taught those things. And some women are not taught those things. And some women have so much going on, they don't have the space for it. And so sometimes it feels so much shame and guilt because you feel like you're supposed to be able to do this. And what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do this like everybody else? And that's just not the case. And if Hot Mess has taught me anything, it's taught me that is that we are all struggling, and it is all hard for everybody to keep their house clean. You know, if you opened anybody's house at any given moment without an announcement, I think you would see that they all kind of look the same.
It's funny that you say that because I always feel like I have to, when I have guests come over, it has to be perfect as though my place has never been lived in, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to just show up at anybody's houses at any given time, that's not the case. Their houses are chaotic mess in some
Exactly.
ways or another.
We live here and
Yeah.
there's no shame in that. Like I have 3 kids, I have 2 boys and them alone, like keeping up with them. But we live here and sometimes life is hard and sometimes we're in a rush and we have to get out the door. And that's not unique to me. We all are like that. But we do have this idea to clean up our house and make it look like we don't live there when people come over. But a good thing for me that I've learned from Hot Mess is like you have to let that go a little bit. It's hard for me. I'm right there with you. But to let it go a little bit because it just encourages other women like, hey, it's okay. My house also gets like this instead of putting up kind of this false idea that like, oh no, our house always is like this. You just popped in and
It's just immaculate. Yeah.
exactly.
What have you noticed happens when someone finally gives in to the need to ask for the help and the support?
It's one of my favorite parts is watching them walk in and see everything and just the relief that comes over them. So you can physically see it. When we first show up, they are feeling ashamed, they're embarrassed, they're very nervous, and they want to explain everything. I was in the middle of that and something happened, or my daughter knocked that over and I meant to, they want to apologize and explain. And so for us, like we try and stop that right away and there's no need to explain and there's no need to apologize. And so through working through the mission with them and like they realize we're just there to help. Like we really aren't there judging you. And once they start realizing, you see it come down a little bit and they start to relax. But that moment when they come in and they see it all done and there's just a bunch of us standing there smiling at them, having spent the day encouraging them and building them up. You just see the weight just fall off of them and that relief come over. And it's such a great feeling.
I feel like because I'm such an empathetic person that I would feel those emotions up front, right? You would be able to physically see that in my face and my eyes, that I would feel all the emotions of the overwhelmingness of a mom and being able to ask for help or just a woman in general. But then when they return and that feeling of relief, right? Seeing everything that Hot Mess Express has done for them, I would probably cry again.
Oh yeah, I've cried many a times, many times.
Which is
It's so
so hard
emotional.
not to, but you feel how they feel because we've all been in that
Absolutely.
position, as you said.
Absolutely.
We've
It
all
can
needed
feel
the help.
for a long time that you have, it's hard to know where to start. It can
Mhm.
feel so overwhelming and feel like there really is no way out. And so to see something like that, these women that you don't know show up for you, and to do it just from the kindness of their hearts. A lot of our affiliates are so great because they'll make friendships. We had an affiliate who invited a woman that they helped to their Thanksgiving dinner recently.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so much more than the cleaning and organizing, and I think that's part of what they feel when they come back.
With that said, is there something that you wish more people understood about what it takes to ask for help?
Yeah, I think that, if you can start to ask for help yourself and start putting that out there, I think that you're going to find that people will give you that help. And I don't think people feel that it's such a burden or any of the thoughts that you probably have in your head. This organization has taught me a lot. I'm not saying this because I just know this, this is something I had to learn myself. But asking for help, it's if you don't do it, you aren't going to receive it. And I really think you'd be surprised that, the people around you are willing to help you. It's more in your head that you feel like you should be doing it all by yourself.
Yeah. One thing that I've heard through these episodes with other single moms by choice is we feel as though because we made this choice to become a single mom on our own terms, that sometimes it's really hard to ask for help because we made this decision and we don't want that judgment of other people being like, well, you chose to do this by yourself. So, what would you say to women who are single moms by choice?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same message is that, you should ask for the help. And the more that you don't, the more you're just encouraging other women to not. I mean, that's something that you really got to start putting out there yourself so that other women can see that it's okay to ask for help. And if we all are getting in our head and we're like, no, this we should just do all this ourselves and we take it all on and we burn out and our emotions are all over the place. We just wear ourselves down trying to balance it all. And then eventually you'll crack. Eventually you're going to have to accept the help. So you might as well accept it before it gets to that point. And just use that as a way to encourage other women so that we can start making it the norm to ask for help, because it should be. We should be able to rely on our community, and we should be able to rely on other women and our neighbors and our friends and things like that, just for the simple times where life just feels heavy. Like nothing more than that. It doesn't have to be a huge thing of medical or having babies or any of that. Like, I mean, especially as a single mom, sometimes like you just need a break, and that's normal. We need to start putting that out there more.
Yeah, that's a lesson that I could learn myself. I think since I had my son, I've struggled with all of these things that you're saying and calling out. And I know I could be a better advocate, but also being vulnerable. And so I'm listening
Yeah.
to you talk.
It's been a learning few years for me as well. So coming from someone who, has a really hard time asking for help and always wanted her house to look a certain way, doing hot mess and being around all these women has really shown me that like, no, that's crazy. You have to ask for help and you need to let people in.
If somebody out there is listening right now and realizes that they might need to lean into this kind of support, how would they reach out to Hot Mess Express for that?
Yeah, so we have our website is called hotmessexpress.co, and on there you can nominate someone or you can nominate yourself. And so we really encourage nominating yourself. So kind of along the lines of what we were talking about is like a big part of our message is that it's okay to ask for help, and we want you to do it, and we want you to do it with confidence.
Yeah.
And so, we really encourage that on our website. So if that's something that you needed, you could find a chapter in your area. There's just a little drop down. You can see which one's closest to you. And then you answer a few questions about your situation. We want to make sure it's within the scope of something our volunteers can handle. And so we'll ask you a few questions about that. And we're not looking for a big sob story. We don't need any of that. I really want to use this opportunity to encourage that, because I think a lot of times people feel like that's how we decide things. And it's not. It's just in order as we get them and as many volunteers as we can get, because we really feel like at any time, any woman could need help. Again, just maybe because just the days are getting heavy and you need a little help.
Yeah. You touched on this a little bit, but how is this nonprofit organization organized nationally, one, but also the local affiliates and chapters?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit. We have a 501(c)(3), and then all of our chapters or affiliates, they all operate under our nonprofit status. And so they do exactly what we do in their area. We have so many incredible affiliate coordinators. If you're ever feeling like, oh my gosh, I am such a hot mess and it's just me, I encourage you to go look at some of our other coordinators and our other chapters, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is not just me. This is happening all over the country. And we're in over 40 states. And yeah, and so then you can apply to help in those chapters or to be helped by those chapters, but they're all doing the exact same work, helping the women in their communities.
If somebody were interested in volunteering, because I know we talked about how they would seek help if they were looking for that support, but if somebody's looking to volunteer, what does it mean to join the national chapter versus joining a local chapter?
Yeah. So if you wanted to volunteer with our national team, we are, behind the scenes trying to help our affiliates. We offer, we're a high support model. And so we really try to be available and talk through things. And, we want to make sure that the chapters are leading the same mission that we're leading. And so we always need support behind the scenes. And then if you wanted to get involved, either starting your own chapter or joining a local chapter, you can do that on our website as well. And then every chapter has a Facebook group that they use to just talk about their upcoming missions. We keep those private to the group because we want it to be a safe space for women to ask for help, and to just kind of to talk about their struggles and things like that without a fear of judgment.
Is there any particular chapters where you're seeing more of a need in that state?
It is really interesting. So in the Midwest, we seem to get the most nominations. We have the most chapters pop up. Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, those are just our biggest states. It's kind of interesting. We haven't really, up until last year, been able to collect the data. So now we're getting to see it. And it's like, oh, I had no idea. We have a lot in Texas and California too. Those I think are a little bit more expected, but.
Larger states, yeah.
Larger, yep.
Hmm. Is there a particular mission that stands out to you for a woman who may have had the need and then Hot Mess Express came in and completely transformed their life?
You know,
And you
this
don't have to give away personal information.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this question used to be so much easier to think of and stuff because we didn't have as many, but I've been doing it so long that like so many pop into my head and I just want to share them all. But I will say, just because we've kind of talked about it a little bit, the Good Morning America mission, that was one that really was emotional for us because we went in and we did all the things we normally do. But after she sent a message thanking us all, and she said that when she got back, she got to take a hot bath for the first time in forever. And she's like, I got to not only take the bath in a clean tub in a clean bathroom, but she's like, I got to like actually relax because I didn't sit in the tub thinking about the dishes and the laundry and the this and the that. And I got to really enjoy it. And I thought that was such a beautiful mission because that's what we hope to bring for all of them.
She actually got to turn off her brain for a little
Yes.
bit and relax and just enjoy that moment because of the support that Hot Mess Express has done for her. And that is one of the hardest things as a mom and a woman is to turn off your brain because
Yeah.
you always have the tabs running. There's
Yeah.
like 1,000 tabs open at one point.
All the time. And I just can't help like that. I think speaks to me because I am a mom and I
Mhm.
am a woman. I'm an overthinker. I'm a warrior. And so like I'm like, what a gift that we were able to give that she was able to have that and just relax. So very, very good story. I love thinking about that one.
It seems that this work sort of goes beyond the daily chores, though, and you bring in the mental and emotional support of a woman in need, too. How do you see Hot Mess Express acting as a mental health aid for women who are in support?
Oh, absolutely. I think the cleaning and organizing is such a small part of what we do. It's so funny to me because that's like at the forefront, but in reality, like that's just like a tiny little piece of it. Having a bunch of women of all ages, and I think that's so important because we've really lost touch with community. And so you aren't surrounded by older women who can share and younger women for you to pass down information. You don't have that as much. So all of our volunteers, we might have someone in their 60s, someone in their 20s, and all in between. And so going there and being surrounded by those women who are sharing advice, they're relating, they're just validating you and all of that, like that is something we don't get nearly as much as we should. And I think that plays a huge factor into the mental health. A lot of the women that we help, are a little bit more isolated. They don't have that support system. And so typically what they're seeing is something probably on social media of what, everyone else's houses look like and comparing it to that. And then we come in and we're like, oh no, girl, on the way here, I walked past the sink full of dishes. I tripped on a toy out the door, moved garbage to get in my car. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're all there.
We're really good at painting the social media picture of what we want people to think our lives look like, but
Yeah.
behind the scenes, there's so much more to it. That's not what it looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Not at all. And I think when you've got like six or eight of us in the room just talking about like, I mean, we're doing dishes and we're like, yeah, this is also my least favorite chore. And yep, I've seen laundry piles bigger than that. Things like that. It just really puts your mind at peace, not just for them, but for the volunteers too. Like that's the gift of being a volunteer with Hot Mess is that you get that same experience and validation and all of those kind of things. While, girl talk and music and cleaning someone else's house is a lot better than cleaning your own, I promise.
Why do you say that?
I think our house is it's so repetitive. You pick up the same toy, you put it in the same toy box. You wash the same dish, you put it in the same, and it is just the same. And you're also doing it alone. Very big difference. And when you go to a hot mess mission, it's a whole new environment. It's fun. You're figuring it out. You're laughing. You're with a good group of girls who all have the same mentality as you because that's why they're here, so it already kind of screens that. And so it's very different than I feel like just sitting in your house and repeating the same chore over and over again.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I wouldn't have thought of is it gets monotonous, but
Yes.
then it's like the new environment pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So I get that now. Hmm. Because this is such a grassroots volunteer powered organization, how do you actually keep up with things going financially?
Yeah, so we have had most of our donations have come from just community donations. We haven't had anything for as far as like grants or anything, just because our team has been very small and we haven't had the time to focus on it. This last year, we just started to really give it some attention. And so that's what we're going to be aiming for. We're always looking for partnerships and things with other women led organizations and businesses. But really, right now, our affiliates, we just were able to get them so that they can fundraise for their chapters, which is a huge thing for them. Very excited. So they can just get some extras. I think one of my favorite things about Hot Mess is that it really doesn't take any money. You can just show up with the supplies you have on hand. You can use what the women that you're helping have on hand. You just need some hands and the heart to do the work. But some of our chapters want to do other things and get lunch for their volunteers and stuff like that. Leave like gift baskets for the women they help. And so they've been able to fundraise, which is great. And then for national, we're really trying to help with getting funding for behind the scenes, because we are all volunteers. It's a volunteer-led organization, and it takes quite a bit behind the scenes to keep it running smoothly and stuff. So we're trying to get funding for that right now.
If we can help in any sort of way, let me know.
I appreciate it.
Of course. What have been some of the biggest obstacles in scaling this nonprofit so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is, like I said, we really wanted it to be exactly the same in each city. I mean, we don't want anybody to have a negative experience. We want to make sure that the women who are leading these missions aren't just saying they aren't judgmental, that they really mean it. So creating an onboarding process where we can really vet people and get to know them and make sure they're a good fit, that's been one of our biggest hurdles. We've really established something good this last year, so we're in a much better place, but that was something we had to kind of learn to figure out. And then I think outside of that is, just making sure, it's kind of funny, some affiliates have an abundance of women who need help and they're struggling to get volunteers. And some women have volunteers on the standby ready to go and can't get anybody to ask for help. And so it's just trying to find that balance and really changing the way women see asking for help and see showing up for one another, so that this kind of becomes the norm.
How many missions have you guys completed nationally?
So this year we hit 392 across the country.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
392 lives that you have touched.
Isn't that crazy? It's
Yep.
it's so cool to think. And we had some of our affiliates were like, 13 of those were ours. And like, that's such a cool thing to think too, combined efforts.
Very fulfilling for the women that are putting forth the effort to volunteer and help the individuals in need.
Absolutely.
How do you keep the volunteers engaged over time, especially when this service can require more emotional labor to get the work done?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want and we encourage our volunteers to pace themselves, because sometimes they come in and they're like, I'm so excited. I know so many women who want help. I'm going to be doing a mission a day. Like, they're like, I'm ready to go. But it is a lot mentally. It really does. It takes a lot. So we encourage like 1 to 2 missions a month, pacing them out. So that's a big piece of it. And then the other part of it is really like with our version of volunteering, women get to see the before, the during, and the after all within a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that is pretty unique. So a lot of times when you donate to a cause, you don't get to see them receive it. You don't get to see the benefit. But, by the end, we're usually exhausted. And then they walk in and they're like glowing and they're crying. And then we're crying and we're like, well, I mean, I could come back tomorrow. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're like filled up, your cup got filled and your energy is ready and all the things. So I think that's a piece of it, that you get to see that in action.
But like you said, remembering that it can be a lot. So
Yes.
pacing yourself, not wanting to take on too much too soon, because it is a lot of labor that you're doing, but the emotional aspect of it too.
It is. It is. And like a lot of the women that we help, they do have stories of why things have gotten to that point. And again, it's all very relatable. It hits home. And I think that weighs on you a little bit more when you get it from your own, perspective and from your own life and things. And so especially for the coordinators who plan the mission, that's when it can be a lot. We have an amazing affiliate who they actually did over 60 missions one year. But then they realized, they were like, it burnt them out a bit. It burnt their other volunteers out, that we're filled with women who want to help and they're excited to help. And so finding that balance can be a challenge.
I can imagine. So where do you see Hot Mess Express in the next 5 years? What's your vision of growth? And then also geographically, what does that mean in the terms of service?
Yeah, I think our overall goal is to be available to all women. We want to have a hot mess for everybody, be that village that no woman has no village. And so, that's where we want to go. I'm very excited that we are going to be establishing our first international chapter in Canada this
Yay.
year.
Wow.
Yes, I'm very excited. We have an incredible team in New Brunswick. So they actually reached out and had a beautiful story of there was their friend Robin who had reached out and she had applied for a chapter with us, and we weren't in the position yet to move into Canada. And so it was almost a year later that her friends had reached out and asked if we were there. And I was like, it's such crazy timing because we just need a group that can do it.
Yeah.
And so they had let us know that their friend Robin had actually passed away and that they wanted to establish it in her name. And I just thought that was the most beautiful story and the perfect example of what Hot Mess is about and all of the things. So very excited to be getting that up and running in the next couple months in New Brunswick. And then we've had interest in Australia, Japan, New Zealand. I mean, all over the place. One day.
Continuing to grow. I
know.
love that you're continuing to grow outside of the United States and impacting so many women, not just on a volunteer basis, but also those in need of the support. And as you said, it takes a village. If you don't have a village, that can be really difficult, but it does take a village in order to do anything day to day.
It does. And if you're struggling and you don't have a village, then, have a little peace in your mind to know that that's because you don't have the support, that we're meant to have. It's not meant to all fall on your plate.
And it's not really about you if you don't have a village. Like, I think there's a lot of guilt with that sometimes.
Yes.
It's like, I don't have a village because I'm so and so type of person. It goes way beyond that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I talk about community and that's part of it. It's not just about friendships. It's just about a community, supporting the women in your community. It doesn't mean you have to have lifelong friendships or get involved in their life in other ways. It's just showing up for each other when you need it. It's really that simple.
That's all it takes. For listeners who want to help, whether by volunteering, donating, or starting a chapter of their own, what is the best way to get involved? And also, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's hotmessexpress.co, and you can fill out volunteer forms. You can submit to apply to create your own chapter or join a chapter. You can ask for help on there. You can donate as well. And then you can always get in touch with us. All our socials at Hot Mess Express Nonprofit, or our email is hme@hotmessexpress.co.
Is there anything, Brittinie, that we haven't talked about that you would like the listeners to know?
The one thing I always like to add is I encourage people to be that change and ask for the help when they need it. Leave your house a little bit realistic when people come over. That's how these things grow and turn into the new norm.
Yeah, you're not going to really need the help if you clean your house before Hot Mess Express comes in. So just leave it realistic, as you said. Because then they'll be like, why are we here?
And then we'll just get lunch or something,
There you go. Yeah, coffee, lunch.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me and sharing all about Hot Mess Express. And I am so happy to have met you and learned a little bit more about your organization today. I love this mission.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I love any chance to talk about Hot Mess and share the mission and everything. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Before you go, thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing this space with us. If choosing chaos has become even a small part of your journey, make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss more stories of courage, choice, connection, and the chaotic, hilarious realities of motherhood. Thank you for trusting us with your hopes and your hearts. Until next time, keep embracing the beauty and the chaos here on Choosing Chaos.